I'm going to explore something that I was thinking about the other night. I believe it was Saturday night, actually, or it was Friday night. But there was something recently that I was thinking about that I thought would be interesting to make a video about. And I'm still kind of thinking about it, and this might be somewhat of, for me at least, uncharted territory, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun to explore. Um, there's this thing that I know many people are probably aware of and others probably are not. It's called the Russian doll, right? And it's like this toy kind of thing. I might be wrong that it's a toy, but basically it's like this thing that consists of multiple layers, right? And it is like, I don't know, it's like this toy that you can like pull apart top and bottom over and over and over again. It starts off really big and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it's just this little thing inside of this big structure of multiple layers, right? Um, so I was thinking that, like, social living, society, the media, people in general are like the Russian doll. Let me compare it to that of advertising. There was this fascinating video that I saw where somebody that does like, I don't know, he watches how things are made and then he's kind of like mind blown by it, right? It's like you do a review of a video, you react to like how things are made, and it was talking about how like Burger King and McDonald's, like fast food chains, how they like advertise and everything, but how they set up what it is that they're advertising. They basically make, like, you ever go to like a place and like get food and like you finally get it and you're basically like, the fuck is this shit, right? Like, you're like, that's not what was advertised to me, right? That looked a lot better, that looked a lot fluffier, that looked a lot more delicious. This looks like a fucking dead rat between two buns, right? um, and it's fascinating because throughout my life and with all of my time of healing, what I've learned is that a majority of life, a majority of society, a majority of just people, just, you know, the media, everything, is really not what it seems. It really isn't. And so, like, you know, the fascinating thing about it is that I used to approach people with a very high level of intimidation, right? Used to be very nervous around people, used to be very scared around people, right? Um, and I know why that was, but there's another counterpart to this, which I think is very fascinating. People really are not at all what they seem to be, right? Because when you really start to get to know somebody or something, it's kind of like the Russian doll, right? Like, you, I don't know, you meet them, and then what you previously thought about them, you realize was not accurate. And then the more and more that you get to know them, it's like the pulling apart of this Russian doll, right? And you pull back the layers, and you pull back the layers, and you pull back the layers, and, you know, for some people, you know, maybe they appeared as like grandiose and all great and all big and all this, that, and the other, and you actually realize that after meeting them and really getting to know them, that they have the emotional maturity of a toddler, right? Even though they are a 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old man or woman, right? And, you know, it's a lot easier to do it with advertising because it's like, okay, well, if you want a burger to look more full and more wholesome and more delicious, you add layers to it. You put a pin through the middle of it, and you put things inside of it that can't be seen by the naked eye, and therefore, through advertising, it looks better, it looks fluffier, it looks more real, it looks more delicious. What is being advertised to you is not what you get, right? When you approach the Russian doll, you see this big thing, and maybe it's intimidating, right? But then the more that you pull it apart, you pick apart the layers, and you get to the actual core of it, and you realize that there's just this little small piece inside of it, right? It's kind of like a metaphor for like a really fragile ego, right? Like, somebody might display themselves as really tough and this, that, and the other, and right? They're just a fragile little fucking toddler, right? That didn't get specific needs met, right? And that can be established to, or I should say, that can be compared to just society in general, advertising, this, that, and the other. And so, let me just say this real quick, because I've made a video in the past about how we idealize people, how our minds idealize people. It's probably because we learned to idealize our parents, right? We learned to idealize our gods, right? So yeah, we're going to. I mean, it's funny because it's kind of like a two-way relationship, right? We have so heavily learned to idealize people because of our origins, right? And then, people also learned to make themselves capable of being idealized, right? They learned the tricks of the trade. They learned how to front a certain facade, right? Advertising, people in advertising are pretty much the same fucking thing. You see it on social media, you see it everywhere, right? And sometimes what you see is what you get, and it's actually not that enticing, but other times what you see is not what you get. And what you realize it actually is not as enticing as what it looked like. Just like that fucking weird-ass, soggy-ass fucking burger that you opened up from McDonald's that advertised itself as far greater and better and more visually appealing than it actually fucking is. The same fucking thing applies to people, right? You're pulling back the layers of the Russian doll. It initially starts off as this big thing that's intimidating, right? It does, right? And then the closer you get to it, the more the layers peel back, because you're peeling the layers back. And the fascinating thing is that peeling back of layers and that getting closer to the actuality of what the fuck is actually there is the reason why some people actually don't like to get close to other people, because they want to appear as something other than what they actually are. And it's a defense mechanism from themselves and from other people, right? And so I'm just so fascinated by this too, because what I've experienced at least is more often than not, things are not what they seem, right? That fluffy ass burger that's held together by things that you cannot see and a pin that you cannot see that makes it look bigger, better, more grandiose, more enticing, more delicious than it actually is not. It's just this soggy ass fucking thing that some crackhead decided to put together behind a fucking counter. I swear I'm not stereotyping. I'm just making a joke. I'm not trying to judge anybody that works. I'm literally just making a fucking joke. I'm literally making a joke. No, it doesn't matter who you are, where you work, what you do, any of that stuff. I respect people. There's no, a job's a job, whatever you need to do, right? But it turns out to be this thing that's not actually appealing, because it's just a facade. It's just an advertisement. People advertise, right? People, people advertise themselves. People advertise things. And just the reality of everything is that once you see that you can pull back layers, right, you'll get closer to a source. And the source is not what you thought would actually be the reality of what it is that you're getting into, right? And it's I don't know. I guess it's kind of depressing, because it's easy to idealize. It's easy to look at something and believe that it is what it is, but then hard to actually pull back the layers and discover that it's not, and that's what I believe is, I'm still pondering this thing that I've kind of discovered, but that's what I believe the Russian doll effect of the media, of society, and of social living is. Oftentimes, nothing is what it seems, regardless of whether it's a fucking soggy-ass burger that somebody put together behind a counter at McDonald's because maybe they just don't like their job, and that really might not have anything to do with it, but that's just the reality of the nature of what is actually there, right? You can easily do this whenever you want to, but then at some point you got to go back to this, and that's just, the reality of it. And, what you want is this, right? But what lasts is often this, and you have to deal with that, right? And let me just say this real quick. If it's hard for anybody to deal with a person because they're a person, we're just people and we're just humans, and you get bored of somebody because they are not what they advertised, right? They're not this all the fucking time happy human that you saw in the advertisement. We have fucking emotions. We're humans. We go through shit. Things happen, and you have to deal with that. And we are not the fucking Botox that we put in our faces to make ourselves look more of what we think is attractive. We're not fucking robots. We're not fucking machines. We're human fucking beings, and we go through shit. And to idealize the hell out of a life where you don't have to deal with shit is fucking absurd, because I have shit, you have shit, everyone else has shit, and like, to think that you're going to find something that is void of shit is fucking absurd. It is, right? You might have to enter a relationship where you have to like pay for something, right? Or you're just like not bothered by somebody's shit for whatever reason, right? But like, I don't know. The Russian doll, right? You continue to pull back the parts and the pieces and stuff, and after a while, it's like, okay, well, show me who you really are. Okay, well, show me who you really are again. Okay, well, show me who you really are again. Okay, well, show me who you really are again, right? Just over and over and over again, right? A lot of it has to do with intimacy and everything. A lot of it has to do with feeling safe with people, right? But it's just fascinating how much, advertising mirrors how we approach society and social living, right? And people just display themselves as, this, right? But in reality, they're just like, they want to show off their big, nice, juicy ass, but in reality, they've got tire rolls or whatever. And it's not good or bad or right or wrong. Loving people for who they are is healthy, but I feel like we set up unhealthy and sometimes subconscious expectations based on these advertisements that we learn from to actually idealize people and things rather than just allowing and accepting what is.